If you're watching this video, then the chances are that you probably do have a phone, and you probably have a smartphone. And with that phone, you can make up to $500 or even $1,000 or more a day with 6 of these side hustles that we're going to be talking about in this video. And for your convenience, I'll be sorting them by the benefits and the negatives of each of them and just how passive they really can be. So the first one is stock trading. So stock trading basically involves you investing in either individual stocks or in index funds or ETFs, which are exchange traded funds. And think of index funds and ETFs basically as a fund which is managed by either a group or a team or some kind of commercial asset, and basically you invest into that fund and they put your money in certain different investment vehicles. So for example, if I invested in an ETF for the S&P 500, they will put my money in the 500 largest US companies in that ETF. Okay, so it's as simple as that. So the benefits of this, so there's potential for very high returns with strategic investment. There's also no commissions if you use an app like Freetrade. I will link it in the description down below. Freetrade is the investment platform which I use on my phone. They basically just charge you a monthly fee, and I think it's like $5.99 or something, and basically you invest in any stocks you want, as many transactions per month, and they just charge you that flat fee. There's no transaction fees like a lot of the other platforms do charge you. Now this is a UK only platform, so if you're in the UK you can use that link below, but there are obviously some really good ones in the US as well. Stock trading also gives you flexibility to invest basically anytime, anywhere you want to. And also, if you do use that link below, like I mentioned, on Freetrade, they will give you a free stock just for signing up, so that can also be quite lucrative to get started too. So the negatives of investing in stocks. Well, first of all, it does require initial capital to actually invest. If you don't have a job or if you don't have a main hustle already, then you don't have a big pot to actually put into stocks. Okay, this isn't something you can just start from zero. You do need money to put in. And also, if we just invest in like the most obvious one everyone recommends, like you have all these OAPs that tell you put all your money into the S&P 500 and you'll become a millionaire in 60 years, which obviously we don't want to wait that long. If you put just 10k in there, let's say you even got as high as a 10% return a year, you're really only going to be making $1,000 off that 10,000 investment per year, which is basically nothing, right? So you need to put a lot of money in if you're investing in something like the S&P 500, or you need to be really good at investing in singular stocks and know where you're putting your money so you can get big returns. So that's the downsides and risks of it. And of course, market volatility, if you are investing in those riskier single stocks, can lead to huge losses too. So you need to know what you're doing, and you really need to know how to hedge against risk. And as well as that, that comes with a really steep learning curve because you need to learn all of those skills. But if you do want to get into investing in stocks and that interests you, maybe you're a fan of Warren Buffett or you want to learn just how the stock market works, then you can click on the link down below and sign up to Freetrade, get a free stock and get started investing. Or if you're someone who likes to make YouTube videos, like I do dropshipping and make YouTube videos, then being a social media influencer, the next side hustle, might be what interests you a little bit more. So this is basically just posting on any kind of social platform and growing a following. So you have Instagram, you have YouTube, or you have TikTok. There's some other platforms too, but those are the main big ones that have market share and popularity. And you monetize either via sponsored posts or sponsorship deals like video sponsors on YouTube, and also via ads for other brands. So there's a lot of ways you can monetize this. You can also start your own business or sell digital products too. So the benefits are, so you have a very high earning potential, so you can get a lot of income, but this is dependent usually on the amount of followers you have, the quality of those followers, and obviously if they have money to spend, right? But it does give you the ability to work from anywhere, because when I was just a YouTuber, when I originally did gaming videos, I didn't make as much money, but it still gave me that location freedom, so I could just travel and make videos while I was in a different location, which is really nice. But there are of course different niches that pay different amounts, so gaming is obviously typically one of the lower ones, whereas making videos, for an example like this one about money, will pay higher than gaming videos. And with that comes the benefits of just opportunities from so many brands and sponsorships. I've managed to get quite a few sponsors whilst I've been on YouTube, and the good thing is if you literally just put your email, once your channel grows, people will just reach out to you. You don't have to email loads of brands to try and get sponsorships. People will reach out to you and give you an offer. If you like it, you can accept it. If you don't, you can just move on, right? But with YouTube, there are some problems. So for an example, copyright-free music is really hard to come by. You can use the YouTube audio library for free, which is quite good, but a lot of those songs can be quite tacky unless you obviously scrape through them for a while. I use Epidemic Sound sometimes, and they have some really good copyright-free music. Obviously, you do need a license to access this. I will put a link down below, which gives you, I think it's like 20% off or like a good deal on it. But I use some of that music on my channel, and it's much better than the ones on the YouTube audio library. So finding music can be quite hard, but if you use a service like this, it can be quite useful. And also, search and discovery on YouTube is quite hard too. Now, if you don't know how to go viral and you don't know how to make a really good video, then you may want to make info videos. So things like tutorials or helpful videos that show you how to do stuff, like a how-to or a guide. And to actually get people to find this video, it needs to be well titled, it needs to have a good description, it needs to have a bunch of tags so YouTube knows where to serve your video. And if you don't know any of these skills, it would be invaluable to use a plugin. For an example, I use TubeBuddy, that's one of the plugins I use. I'll also link that down below too if you want to get that. And basically, TubeBuddy allows me to scrape through YouTube keywords, find the best tags, and obviously I can use those in my description, maybe change the title of my video based on those keywords which people are actively searching for to help my videos get found. And I managed to get millions of views on my gaming channel, and I've used TubeBuddy basically throughout my whole channel's existence, so it has been really useful, so I'd recommend that. And you do need tools like this because YouTube is a highly saturated market and it's very competitive. Now, if people say don't get started because it's competitive and saturated, then that's really stupid because gaming is probably the most saturated market, and I did Minecraft videos, which are also the most competitive and the most saturated, and I had some pretty good success on there. I was one of the biggest Minecraft mod channels for a very long time back when I did that, so it doesn't really matter if something's saturated or competitive. You just need to use tools like this or strategies or learn more than other people to get that edge, but it's still possible. But it does take time to build a substantial following, right? It takes like 2 to 3 years at least to actually get a good deal of subscribers. It took me like 2 to 3 years to get up to 100,000 subscribers, and that was when I constantly focused on the channel and was really serious about it. And it requires constant content creation. During the pandemic, when we had that huge influx of people online and it was easier to do online stuff, I was making like 2 to 4 videos per day, slaving away, just no life in it, to get some of those stats that I was getting back then. So it requires you to be consistent, but a lot of people just find success on YouTube posting like 1 to 2 times a week, or maybe once every week, so it can be possible to post sparingly if you focus on quality. You need to have that perfect balance between quality and quantity, or have really high quality if you're uploading more occasionally and not as constant as daily uploads. So tips I would give based on my experience with YouTube and getting to around 120k subscribers on my other channel and nearly about 10k on here, I would say focus on high quality engaging content for the most part, and just try to use this to grow your audience. The better your videos are and the more consistent you make them over time, you will eventually find one that does well and then use that to make more of those kind of videos, and that's how you grow your channel. Okay, you can use the links down below for those resources if you want to get started. So Epidemic Sound for some really good copyright free music. Then you can also use TubeBuddy too, so that's the keyword explorer, so you can use that for SEO to help your videos get found by people and just generally optimize them for YouTube search engine. Then we have Shopify dropshipping. So as well as YouTube, Shopify is my main business right now. YouTube was my main business, but now Shopify dropshipping is in e-commerce. So I know a lot about Shopify as well. So these two I can give you the best advice on, right? So this is just starting an online store in order to sell products either from AliExpress or from China or the Chinese market via suppliers, particularly a private supplier. The benefits of dropshipping are you have a lower startup cost if you actually utilize Shopify's deal. They basically have a free trial of sorts. Well, they say free trial, but it's $1 a month for the first 3 months. So basically, we only have to pay $3 for 3 months of Shopify when it's usually like $19 or $39. So it's a lot cheaper. I'll put the link down below for that offer too, so you can take advantage of it. We also don't need to manage inventory or shipping if we do drop shipping, because we just get a supplier to do all the shipping and the holding of product in their warehouse for us, and we can manage the entire business from our phone. You can actually manage a whole dropshipping business from your mobile. For an example, you have editing tools on there like CapCut. You have websites you can download videos from TikTok and YouTube. So we could edit videos. We can also manage our ads on TikTok ads on our phone and on Facebook. So it's possible to do it all on your mobile, but I would recommend a laptop. It makes it so much easier, and you'll get ahead of your competition if you have all those resources at your fingertips, right? We also can get high profit margins if you use the right products. I'm getting around 20% right now, but I have got as high as 30 to 35 when I was really at my peak. So depending on your offer, how much you actually sell products for, if they're high ticket or low ticket, there's a lot of variables, but you can make a decent profit margin. And also, if you decide to advertise on TikTok ads, they do have an offer where they'll match the amount that you spend in free ad credit. So if you spend $100, they'll give you another $100 free ad credit to spend on their ad platform. $500, they'll give you another $500, etc. So it makes it a really cost-effective way to get free ads, so you can make more profits. Your margins are going to be much higher. I'll put the link below in the description for that too, if you want to get some free ad credit. And if you need a supplier, if you don't have a private supplier, you can get started with CJ Dropshipping. That link will be below too. They have a whole bunch of products. They have like all of the trending products in the market. It will be a little bit more expensive than using a private supplier, but it's a really good starting website to use and platform, because you can quickly test products without having to constantly message a supplier to give you a quote on the cost of it. So it's really good, and I started with CJ and made like my first bit of money on that, so I'd recommend that platform too. So the negatives are you're going to have to learn a long time. I had to learn, I think, 3 to 6 months at least of pure information. I read a lot of books, I joined a bunch of courses before I got success in it, because it requires marketing skills to drive traffic to your store. You need to know how to make high impact ad creatives where people actually click them and want to buy your product based on them. You need to know how to create a good offer that's compelling enough for people to buy, and you need to know how to research and find a product which is actually performing well in the market in the current season. So there's a lot of marketing know-how that goes into e-commerce, right? And it's also very dependent on the suppliers that you pick for the quality of the products that you obviously send out to people and how long your shipping times are going to be. So there's so many variables in which makes it tough, and there's very high competition in dropshipping because it can be quite cheap to start. But it's been very lucrative for me so far, and I'm doing well with it, and I do preach that on my channel because I can only preach what I know and what's worked for me, which is YouTube and dropshipping. So if you do want to sign up, you can get a free trial for 3 months of Shopify for $1 a month, link down below. You can also get the free TikTok ad credit, that'll be linked down below too. And also the sign up link CJ Dropshipping to source the products will be down below too, just because it's better than AliExpress and you'll get quicker shipping times. The next one is user testing. So what is user testing? You're probably thinking, what on earth is this? Well, it's where you test apps or websites on your phone and provide feedback on your user experience. So if I use an app like Instagram and I got loads of glitches, I could comment and just say, I used the app, it was good, but I had loads of bugs and technical glitches, and the app is broken, and you need to improve this. So you're basically using an app and giving your honest review on it. The benefits to this as a side hustle is it's very easy to start. There's no special skills required to test an app, right? It's very basic stuff. It also has very flexible work hours because it's not an actual job. You just test apps when you feel like it and then make money, and you'll make more money obviously depending on how long you actually use the app for. And you can also earn money but also gift cards based on your feedback. Now the negatives for this in my opinion though are it has very limited earning potential. You're not going to be able to test thousands of apps in a very short time. It's very time consuming, so this is capped by the amount of hours and time you have, so it's just basically like a job. So the ceiling to actually earn is very low, and it's very hard to actually reach high amounts of income with this. And also the tasks can be both sporadic, inconsistent, repetitive, and just kind of annoying. But if you have no kind of outlet to make money, this could be potentially a little side hustle you could do to make a few dollars. But you can use user testing or the platform called Try My UI if you want to get started with this. And it kind of reminds me of those old websites where you could earn points for doing like questionnaires and looking at ads, for an example. Then we have Airbnb hosting. So you're probably wondering, why on earth is Airbnb on this list? Surely you need a lot of starting capital for that, and surely that's a huge big business because it involves real estate. So Airbnb is where you rent out your property or your apartment units, for an example, to people or tenants in this case who want to stay in them. Usually short term, they're not usually for long-term stays on Airbnb. And there's a lot of benefits to it. So we have very high earning potential based on short-term rentals. With short-term rentals, we can charge exorbitant fees for people to stay in them, right? And Airbnb is going to be cheaper, and Airbnb is going to be way more expensive to stay in than just having a short-term or long-term rental contract, right? So if I got a rental contract I could get an apartment for like 700 euros a month, for an example. But if I go on Airbnb, the apartment might be like, sometimes you can get it as low as like 40 euros if you're in Europe, but sometimes like most of them are like $100 or 100 euros to stay per night. So you're going to pay like 3 to 4 times the price of an actual long-term contract with Airbnb. So obviously, as the host, you can make a whole bunch of money off using this instead, right? You can manage the bookings, the payments, and all the communication with clients or tenants in this case from your phone. So it's very easy to manage from a phone. You don't even need a laptop. And it's great for properties which are located in very popular tourist destinations. So the more popular the destination is that your property is situated in, the more higher prices you can obviously charge for them. So let's say we have a property in Barcelona, which is like one of the most popular cities for people to go to. You can charge really high prices for that. Now the negatives, there are quite a few too. So for example, we actually require owning or managing that property. We need to either be a property manager or a landlord, or we need to physically own that unit or that property to actually be able to rent it out, which requires obviously a lot of startup capital and probably quite a lot of years working or in the markets to get that kind of money, or a big loan, for example, to afford that. And also there's a very likely case, in very likely situations, the tenants are going to damage your property. So they might have a party and break the rules and damage loads of furniture or drop loads of things or do something illegal in there, and you will have to clean up, either clean up, be responsible, or pay a lot of money to repair those damages. So that's also a lot of problems, just tricky tenants that are disrespectful. And you have to comply with local regulations, so you'll need to learn what those are so you don't get in trouble. So there's a lot of downsides to it. Everything where you make a lot of money, there's a lot of hurdles and obstacles and downsides to it. And also, you need to ensure the property is actually well maintained and appealing to actually attract those guests in the first place, right? With guests, you have a lot of risks. Like, for an example, the property needs to be cleaned constantly. Guests can bring things like pests into the property as well, or just ruin the property in general. So you need to be on top of things. You need to hire people like maids and cleaners as well to maintain it for you if you don't want to do all that stuff. So there is obviously a lot of challenges with this kind of business, and it has a big barrier to entry with it. So the last one is delivery jobs. So with delivery jobs, you can earn money by delivering a range of things, anywhere from food, packages, or just driving people around, because I'm just going to couple things like Uber and Lyft in here too, because it just involves a vehicle. And with this, we can have flexible working hours, because we can obviously commit ourselves to when we want to drive the vehicle, when we want to deliver packages and items. And for things like Amazon Flex, we can sign up ahead of time, like a few days prior, to book out all of our delivery slots that we want for the week, and then we can just do as many as we want, and then make how much money we want based on that time. So this is pretty good, and there's a very high demand for delivery services, especially for things like Uber Eats, where people want their takeaway food delivered straight to their door. Things where you can go to a supermarket and get people's groceries for people who are disabled or too lazy to do it themselves. There is quite a high demand for it, right? And the good thing about this is, for the most part, it gives you immediate income with each completed task that you do. And it depends on the app, because sometimes they have payout windows, sometimes you get paid every 2 weeks, every month, sometimes instantly. So it does depend on the app. But with this obviously comes with some negatives too, right? So we require a vehicle for a start, so you'll need a driver's license and a vehicle to do this. And the related expenses for that vehicle are not going to be paid by those apps. So for an example, fuel for that vehicle, so gas, petrol, fuel, all of that stuff, and the maintenance of the vehicle too if it needs repairs, you're not going to get paid by the platform for that. The reason why a lot of these platforms claim a really high hourly figure, like $15 an hour, which is fairly decent in America, but for like Europe that's pretty good, is because they don't pay for your fuel, right? So you're going to have to actually have costs involved in driving. It can also be physically demanding, because I know a lot of taxi drivers and people who deliver food in Europe. I don't physically know them, but after having many conversations during my travels with so many Uber drivers, it's physically demanding, right? A lot of them have really weird sleep schedules. They wake up at weird times, go to sleep at weird times. They don't have much time with their family because they're just working so much to get more money. And since it's like a business, right? When running an online business, you can't really moderate yourself because you don't have a boss, so you can just work too much. And with Uber, you can do that too, because the more hours you put in, the more money you work. So it's kind of like you can slave yourself into the ground doing it. And a lot of these taxi drivers I talk to abroad, they just say, like, I wake up at this time, which is crazy. Like, I wake up at like 1 a.m. in the morning, or I wake up at like 11 p.m. at night and I start my shift, and then I just go to sleep in the afternoon. So they have like crazy sleep schedules. It's just physically demanding. And the earnings, right, they can fluctuate, and this is based on demand and competition, other people doing it. And also, in some countries, you actually need to work for a licensed company to actually drive for Uber. So you need to be contracted as a driver, and then you'll make less money than if you were just an individual driver for the app, because certain countries don't allow it. So there's a lot of hurdles to this, but there's a lot of different things. Even though I've mainly mentioned Uber, there are a lot of platforms you can do this type of job for. So we can work for Uber, we can work for Lyft, which is practically the same, it's just a competitor. We can also work for Deliveroo to deliver a takeaway. In Europe, you have things like Lieferando in Austria and I think Germany as well. So there's a lot of platforms, and also Amazon Flex is really good in the UK too. So to close out the video as a re-emphasis, the best that's worked for me so far has been dropshipping. Now this is not a side hustle, this is a main hustle for me right now. YouTube and dropshipping is what I do. But I'm just reaffirming this at the end because it's worked the best for me, so I can give advice the best on this. And it's just a really good profitable business, and it has a low startup cost if you use that Shopify link that I told you about, and the TikTok free ad credit. If you're young, if you've got a 9 to 5, just use the Shopify trial, use the TikTok free ad credit, run some free ads, use CJ Dropshipping for quick shipping, and just get started. It's as simple as that. And within 3 to 6 months, if you're actually consistent and you do it every day, then you will actually make money. And if you don't know how to get started, you can watch the free YouTube videos on this channel, or you can join my community down below on Skool.com, which is called Equity Hub. On here, I share all my teachings that I've learned on e-commerce and dropshipping. I talk about all my ad strategies. I give you insider information that I've actually been told by my Facebook marketing representative, and from all the emails and exclusive information I have access to. And I just share everything that I've learned. So if you want to take advantage of that, you can sign up below. But a whole bunch of these side hustles we mentioned are good, okay? So don't get shiny object syndrome. Don't just try all of them at once. Just pick one from the list. What suits you the best? What's easiest to start for you? And what do you actually want to do based on the time you have available and the resources and talents you have? Get started with it. Try it for a few months. Be consistent. And just see where it takes you, right? While there are many side hustles you can actually do from your phone, Shopify does stand out to me due to these low startup costs, the flexibility, and the high profit margins. The only downside is if you don't take advantage of those offers I told you about, the starting fees will be higher. I did have to actually put like 2k into starting it up, and then I also ran out of money and had to borrow a little bit after that. So it does take a lot of starting capital if you don't use these offers, right? But back when I started, we didn't have these offers. We had the Shopify trial, but the TikTok ads credits weren't a thing. Take advantage of these. Links will be below, and make sure to like and subscribe to the channel because I put out a whole bunch of free content and tutorials on dropshipping, and I just teach everything I know on this channel. So if that interests you, subscribe, and I'll see you real soon.